Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mel. If you haven't been here before, I'm Mel, the host of this channel. And now that it's fall, we've also got a new slate of anime. Summer is gone, and with the entry of fall, we've got a cooler, significant amount of anime to be hyped for versus the summer, but there are still some notable mentions that is worth watching that are returning, and some new ones that you might want to keep an eye out for. If you're a new viewer, before you continue with this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you stay up to date on all the videos that I drop. Starting with a new anime that already has one episode out already, it's called Ron Kamonohashi, Deranged Detective, or other translations, if you've seen it, is Ron Kamonohashi, Forbidden Deductions. If you've seen the trailers for Ron Kamonohashi, you can kind of get a vibe that this is honestly a detective show just from the title, and that it's a Sherlock Holmesy Watson type of feel. So if you're into that, then I highly suggest you put it on your list and at least go check out the first episode and make your own opinions. But based on the first episode, because the trailer was just so underwhelming, I didn't think I was going to watch this, but I was like, you know what? Let me give it a try. So here we are, and I have to say that from the first episode, it was a lot better than I anticipated. There's a lot of great humor going on, this Sherlock Watson type of banter between Ron, who is this super intelligent detective, kind of like Sherlock, and Totomaru, who is kind of very resemblant of Watson, who is very by the books. The two come together kind of in this haphazardly way because Ron has this sort of issue where as soon as he hears about a mystery or some sort of case, he becomes so engaged and almost obsessed that he can't turn himself away from it, which ends up turning into some quirkiness because the dude doesn't have a cell phone, he doesn't have TVs, and he's basically a shut-in that has nothing in his apartment. I digress. While I didn't think I would continue with this show, one, as I mentioned, the humor is wonderful. I love it. Anything that makes me laugh is something that it's kind of worth keeping for me. But by the end of the first episode, we find out that Ron kind of has either some ability or some sort of intensity about him where he can convince the kind of culprits of a case to essentially kill himself. And he goes on to explain by the end of the episode that he kind of quit being a detective, not because he didn't want to be a detective, but because he has a 100% solve rate for all of the cases that he's been on, but a 0% arrest rate because all of the culprits end up killing themselves by the time this case has been solved. And he's extra quirky in the sense that he likes interacting, physically interacting with dead bodies in order to kind of simulate what potentially happened. Just those small details definitely has me wanting to come back for episode 2. Tokyo Revengers is also back and one episode has dropped already. And from the looks of it, the trailer and episode 1 are literally the same thing. All the major plot points in episode 1 is literally in the trailer. So I highly suggest you watch episode 1 so that you can connect the dots as to what's going in the trailer. But the trailer gives you almost no indications as to what's going to happen this season, which kind of sucks. But there are some notable things in the trailer, at least the second trailer for this arc, which is the Tenjiku arc, in which Tokyo Revengers now is up against the Tenjiku Yokohama gang that kind of got introduced at the end of the last season, which premiered during winter 2023. Here are some important things that come out of episode 1 and the trailer for Tokyo Revengers, the Tenjiku arc. First, we get introduced, or at some point we get introduced to a character that was a childhood friend of Takemichi's that is now part of the Tenjiku gang. He first asked him, dude, what's the deal with Kisaki Teta now that Kisaki Teta has joined the Tenjiku gang and is a high authoritative figure in that gang? It seems very suspicious and fishy, even to the point where Takemichi starts to question if Kisaki Teta himself is also a time traveler like Takemichi himself. And the second part in this conversation that he has with his friend Kaku is that he tells him, dude, keep an eye out for the traitor before they part ways. So this first episode provides a lot of food for thought. One, we're now looking out for a traitor within the Tokyo Manji gang. 2, it's questionable as to whether Kisaki Teta is a time traveler, and personally for me, I don't think so. I do think that perhaps somebody else within the gang, perhaps the traitor is a time traveler, because Kisaki Teta always seems to be like one step ahead, or the fact that the future just gets progressively worse and worse, despite how much, I guess, Takemichi does to prevent certain aspects in the timeline. You know, it makes you wonder, like, there must be another time traveler. So I would say that it definitely gives me pause to think, okay, yeah, another time traveler is something that crossed my mind in the previous season. But as to whether it's Kisaki Teta or not, I'm gonna say probably not. But I feel like this is a way for the creator and the show to kind of like redirect the audience. And even though the trailers for Tokyo Revengers is basically the first episode of season 3, there are some other notable things like voiceovers with no imagery, like Emma. I feel like something bad's gonna happen to Emma this season. So that's just something that I'm getting a sense from the trailer. It just feels like Emma is gonna get stuck in the middle of this madness. And it seems like Draken, since Draken and Emma are kind of dating, is going to find himself in a hard spot that I feel like we may not see him in coming seasons, or he may not be like part of the Tokyo Manji gang, and we may start to see the Tokyo Manji gang start to fall apart during or after this season. Also, I think it's timely because this is supposed to be one of the longest arcs in the series, and I believe that this arc comes before the final arc. I don't know how many chapters there are to adapt in the final arc, but if this precedes the final arc, then I feel like this is where things are going to start rapidly unraveling. I haven't mentioned this, but why does Kisaki Teta keep calling Takemichi my hero? And we still haven't addressed from the previous season why Kisaki Teta has an obsession with Hinata, who is Takemichi's girlfriend. Another anime that's new, that's coming out this season, that's gotten a lot of hype, attention, and traction since the end of last year is Undead Unluck. Its concept seems really unique, in which we have a heroine who is extremely unlucky that gets saved by some dude who basically is immortal. He has some ability called Undead, hence the title Undead Unluck. And she tries to essentially kill herself because of this unlucky ability that she has. She cannot touch anyone without giving them immense bad luck, which could, be worst case scenario, death. And this dude who has this undead ability is just looking to die. So in essence, they're like the perfect pair. In saving her life, they kind of embark on this crazy journey where he wants to die and she may be the key to his death. But in them uniting, I guess she becomes discovered by this whole like society called the Union, and it's full of a bunch of negators, which I guess you could say is like the power users in this universe. And they come after them because anyone who is not part of the Union and has an ability like the negators needs to be eliminated. But when they find out about her actual ability, they then try to recruit her in an effort to defeat God, or the God of this universe. It's quite out there, but I'm here for it. The trailer scenes show quite a interesting dynamic between the two main characters, namely the undead guy, whose name I think is Andy. He can basically deconstruct his whole body and reconstruct his body over and over again, and it makes all sorts of weapons. Low-key, it's also kind of gross because it seems like his blood in itself is a weapon, and I'm a tad hemophobic, but nonetheless. The system of this world seems unique enough that I would say it's worth checking out. And I could see this going the way of how the story is being told. They meet, they start getting chased, they realize that perhaps their best opportunity in not getting chased is joining the Union. And then that's probably going to be the entirety of season 1, and we probably get introduced to like the real antagonist of the entire storyline that's going to project future seasons to hopefully come. An anime I'm not sure how I feel entirely about on its return, season 3, is Rising of the Shield Hero. Only because season 1 was really good, and obviously that's how I, and perhaps any of you that has watched Rising of the Shield Hero, got hooked, but Season 2 has been rough, and I'm not like done with it yet. I'm like halfway through season 2 and I can't bring myself to finish it because the pacing is so bad. The story is kind of like all over the place. I don't know if this is how this goes in the light novel or slash the manga, but I've been told by my fellow IG mutuals that it gets better and season 3 should be better, and it's supposed to be some of the most like hyped up like stories in Rising of the Shield Hero. But you know, I'm gonna say this real quick. I don't say this often when I recommend shows or I talk about shows on my channel, but I'm gonna give this season or this show one more season. If this season doesn't live up to how like Rising of the Shield Hero started or better, I'm dropping it, and so should you. Part 2 of Dr. Stone New World is back. If you need a synopsis on Dr. Stone, please watch my Winter 2023 or Spring 2023 video, one of those, to get a synopsis on Dr. Stone. However, it looks like Dr. Stone will be continuing right where it left off, where we will finally get an indication as to how the petrification phenomenon happened and perhaps where the people of this island got the device. And we will finally acquire unlimited petrification fluid, which is essential for Senku to keep like rebuilding the world and unpetrifying all the people that are still alive on planet Earth. Finally, absolutely not least, Spy Family is back with season 2, and sadly I've heard we're only getting 12 episodes, but you know what? We're also getting a movie in not December, but it's getting released in December in Japan, so we'll likely get the movie next year in 2024. But since we're getting a movie, I can understand why we're only getting 12 episodes in season 2 of Spy Family. However, I am so excited for season 2 because based on the trailers, you can kind of tell that we are finally getting your time. In season 1, we spend a lot of time with Anya and Lloyd, and we do get some time with Yor, but it's kind of like mostly during comedic scenes, and she comes in very few times to probably save Anya from disaster that she's gotten herself into while Lloyd is missing and on a mission. Since we've already spent a significant amount of time with Anya and Lloyd, it's about damn time that we got some time with Yor. However, based on the trailers, it looks like she will finally get her time to shine, as she has been assigned a mission or missions of her own to assassinate significant figures. And these significant figures seem to have an impact on Lloyd's mission, as some of these people are kind of important contacts for Lloyd. So 1, we'll get to see Yor shine in her own element. And 2, it looks like with Yor being assigned to these missions, it kind of creates a disruption in Lloyd and Yor's relationship, to the point that I think Lloyd kind of sees like, hey, I need to maintain this family by taking my wife on dates and building this romantic relationship with her. But because she's also going on these assassination missions, it may also be affecting her mood to some extent. So Lloyd has his hands full yet again in season 2, but not with Anya this time, instead with Yor. While fall 2023 anime isn't as intense or hyped as summer 2023 was, there is still some great returning anime that I think you and I are greatly looking forward to, and some new anime that might be worth a watch. Thank you all for tuning into my videos. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, if you've enjoyed this content, you'll like, comment, share, or subscribe here on my channel or on this video, and continue to tune in. But until next time, I'm Mel. Bye!